I'd rather you, decide that you don't like me on the front end or you don't like my numbers and not hire me than I tell you a number and then a month from now you fire me because you feel like it's the wrong number.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. Each episode we'll be bringing you interviews with real estate insiders from all across the country and from all levels of experience. And as always, our goal is for you to be inspired by your fellow agents and learn something that you can use to grow your business. Now for a little housekeeping. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you listen to your podcast. You can find us on everything from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And as you can see if you're watching this, make sure you subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel and click the bell for notifications for every time a new episode is dropped. Now, one thing that has always interested me when doing interviews with real estate agents is just how different everyone's approach is. There really is no one size fits all. So when I received a message from an agent saying, I would rather you fire me before you hire me, I knew I had to find out more. So in today's interview, we hear part 1 of the interview that I actually did with Bob Thompson. He's an agent based out of Hampton Roads, Virginia. And Bob admits his approach is not everyone's cup of tea, but he's perfectly okay with that. So just to go ahead and get started, if you could, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you are currently working and how long you've been in the market there.
Okay, I'm in Hampton Roads, Virginia. So essentially Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia, all of that area. I've been in the industry about 16 years now. I've been independent for about the last 11 years of that. Top 1% in Hampton Roads. Prior to that, I was a chemist years ago and absolutely hated it. That's about it. I absolutely love what I do. I kind of stay underneath the radar in terms of I'm not flashy. I don't have to do a whole lot of marketing. I work with a lot of short sales, foreclosures. And then, of course, I've lived in this area my entire life. So I've built up a good reputation. So I get a lot of, repeat and referral business.
We've been in the COVID age for, several months now. How have things progressed over that time for you?
I actually took a couple of my higher end properties off the market. And when I say higher end for Hampton Roads, we're talking like 450s higher end. Mm-hmm. So I pulled some of those off the market because there was just so much, everything was in flux. I didn't see any point to leaving them on the market when I wasn't going to be able to say, okay, why is this thing not selling? Because we don't know what's going on. And at the time, folks that are buying a 450 property typically are more influenced by the stock market and things of that nature, and that was going crazy. So it was a best case scenario to just let's walk away for a month and see what happens. Lower end properties kind of did what they were going to do. And then surprisingly enough, all of the short sales that I had that had been taking forever to get done magically got done because the bank had way more time to deal with them and wanted to get them off their books. So after about a month of holy cow, let's start saving our pennies, things kind of just started going back to normal. Didn't do a whole lot of virtual selling, I'll be quite honest, and I'm probably in the minority. I don't really believe video selling works. Mm-hmm. I think folks need to get their hands on it and look at the property. Now, it's fine from a starter's point of view in terms of, okay, you live in California and you're buying in Hampton Roads, we can FaceTime and you can go, okay, well, let's put it contingent on me viewing the property and all that. But at the end of the day, it's been my experience that your average Joe wants to get in there and feel that property and see that property and just kind of have that sense of, wow, this is going to be my new home and I love it. And Bob, can you make it happen?
Yeah.
So then if things have kind of gone back to normal, rates are great. What I'm telling everybody in Hampton Roads is it's a great time to sell. It's a terrible time to buy because you're overpaying like a champ.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we're seeing all over the country.
Yeah.
Right now, it's, I've talked to so many people there, I didn't even get the place on the MLS yet and I'm getting calls to sell it.
Yeah.
When it comes to showing those houses, how have you handled some of those challenges with the getting in the house and being around,
Just for the most part, being respectful of what the seller's desires are. I have a seller that pre-COVID to post-COVID, she ended up moving in her 80-year-old mother into the home. So we were only allowed to show the house on weekends and they have to wear a mask, gloves, and booties. So that's been a bit of a challenge. It's a higher end property, but I mean, it is what it is. It's going to sell sooner or later, and it's just a matter of being patient and respecting her wishes. Other than that, that's really been it. I've been blessed where a lot of times it's been vacant property or something like that, so you can kind of go in and do your thing. I do a lot of pre-showing, especially if I've got a client that's kind of wants something a little bit out of the ordinary. Then I'll do the pre-showing ahead of time so I can go ahead and cut down and eliminate, okay, well, they got 6 properties they like. I'm going to look at them and I'm going to narrow it down to 3 because the other 3 don't really fit. So that helps with just me going in and getting out without bringing the whole, mom, dad, and the kids.
Right. When you responded to the email calling for the interviews, you said that you would rather have somebody fire you before hiring.
Yes.
Explain that to me.
I believe in the way I work it is I believe in complete and upfront total honesty. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. This is what the house is worth. I mean, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And anybody that lets you come up with your own number is only hurting you in the long run. Now, granted, things are really hot right now, and that's fine and dandy, but you've just got to be honest and blunt and to the point. And I'd rather you, decide that you don't like me on the front end or you don't like my numbers and not hire me than I tell you a number and then a month from now you fire me because you feel like it's the wrong number or you can't take direction. Again, what it comes down to is, okay, how many houses have you sold? Because I average 50, 60, 70 houses a year. I know how to sell property. I may not be able to do a whole lot of other things in this world, but I can sell real estate. I saw a video the other day where they were like, well, you should try to mirror yourself to your clients. No, because it's fake and it doesn't work. I'm going to come in. I don't do suit and tie. I don't care if it's $1 million house. I'm coming in with a polo shirt on, and this is who I am. This is where we're at. My track record speaks for itself. At the end of the day, just tell me I did a good job and pay me. That's really all I care about. I've gotten to the point now where I don't even do signs in the yard anymore. It's 2020. There's no point to it. I don't pretend to work to make you happy. I'm going to be upfront. You're paying for my integrity. You're paying for my honesty, and you're paying for my negotiating skill and my years of experience. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for magic marketing or signs in the yard or fancy business cards. I don't even own business cards anymore. I got an app on my phone that's a business card. And again, it's 2020. You can find my website, my Facebook. You can talk to hundreds of people that I've worked with. I just, that's the way I approach it. Does it always work? No. I had a couple a few weeks ago that I think I turned off. And granted, they thought the house was made of gold. And I very clearly was like, it's not made of gold. I'm sorry. Just because little Johnny lived there doesn't mean the house is worth more money. And it didn't work out. That's okay. You're not going to get them all. And I do a volume business, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. So that's pretty much what I mean.
Yeah. At what point in your career did that shift? Is that something you've always done, or has that evolved over time? That's
pretty much what I've always done, and that's probably the reason that I went solo, because when you first get in this business, you kind of have to follow your team leader or your broker's style of doing things. And there's a lot of team leaders, it's been my experience, that are very much into the cult of personality, we'll call it, to where I'm the greatest thing that's ever walked the face of the earth, do it my way or the highway, and they're more about the mirroring, and you've got to be on that person's level and all that. And then after having some difference of opinion with that, 2 or 3 years into that run, when you're still their top listing and sales agent, it's kind of like, okay, that doesn't work for me, and we're going to continue to butt heads, or I'm going to do it my way, because at the end of the day, that's just, I have to be who I am, and I can't, and it comes across phony if I don't, and I'm going to lose I'm not going to get the job anyway, because you can clearly tell I've gone into car salesman mode, and and I'm uncomfortable. I'm not myself. I stutter and, well, that's great. I mean, come on, you got to be a moron to not realize that that's just not real. And for me, it doesn't work. So at that point, I made a commitment to do it my way. And I get a lot of business because of that. And they pretty much tell my clients, hey, Bob does a great job, but I'll be honest, but he's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. I do the same thing for the buyers when I'm walking through a home. I'm a Class A contractor, and I know what I'm looking at, and I'm not gonna go, well, do you like the house? Well, great, then I love the house. It's not going to happen. The house is falling apart and beat up. We're not writing an offer on it. We're just, granted, obviously, if you really want to, but my job is to protect you, so you're not calling me in 6 months going, Bob, why in the world did you let me buy this house? Because that's who's going to get punished for that. It's going to be me. And I just, you might see fancy painting and it looks all pretty and clean. Okay, I see uneven walls and what I would call a crappy rehab job. That's the information you need to know, whether you want to hear it or not.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't get, is that honesty. When they have that kind of, the shiny object in front of their face. Sometimes they don't quite see what's behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great approach. It's definitely, again, you said it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if it's working for you.
Yeah. And you're not going to get them all. And, it's like, some agents get mad when they get a referral from a company and they got to pay the company 15% of the commission or whatever. You never would have gotten in front of that person anyway, so why are you crying over 15% or 20%? Number one, you got the other 80%, and number two, you've got a new client who absolutely loves you, who's going to do nothing but refer you, and that's going to create more business. It automatically makes your numbers go up, which, let's be honest, I don't care if it's a $20,000 house or a $2 million house, it still increases your numbers. And agents get wound up over that. I'm just like, there's no point to it. Well, and again, it's not like you're paying up front for it. So you get the deal and you only make 75%. Again, you never would have been in front of those people otherwise. They didn't know you from Adam, except for the fact that, in my case, sometimes it's Zoom or Mr. Cooper or whoever that puts me in front of them. So take the money and run and do a good job. Who cares?
Right. Having your contractor's license and your Class A license, everything like that, you definitely come across as somebody that is definitely out there to protect the client once they become your client. And I think that's super important. I think, that the car salesman mentality. Sometimes if you just get in that mentality that in a referral-based business, you can't have that, the bad taste in your mouth 6 months later.
You can't half-ass this job. It's not a car. It's not a car, and you're never going to see them again. Not in our modern world with the Facebook and everything else. There's a reason a lot of agents only work with their clients one time, because they really weren't attentive, or they didn't follow up, or it wasn't on a personal level. I want the wow factor. And I don't even work with buyers a whole lot anymore, unless it's somebody that I know or they're referred to me. I don't actively pursue, just your run-of-the-mill buyer. It's just not something I do. I prefer the listing side. It works better for me. But regardless, I want that wow factor. I want that, oh my God, this is the house that I want. There's no reason to buy a house just to buy a house. Not that I can see. I'm sure it happens, but I'm not doing that, and I'm not going to be responsible for that. Right. I think a lot of agents sometimes get into this for what they think is the money, or they think the money's going to be there, and they rapidly find out. That's why there's so many people that come in and then go out, because you're going to be seen right through it. It's not going to work.
Yeah. So now that you've been in the business for 16 years? Is that what you? Yeah. 16 years. With this, how many of your clients are now that kind of referral or repeat based business?
I would say of my regular clients, I would say probably 90 to 95% are referral clients. And I don't always do a great job of keeping up with people. I don't really do the monthly newsletter and the assorted other stuff. It's not my style. And I think most people just kind of delete it and see through it. I have Facebook, and I have a Facebook business page, which I unfortunately rarely use and probably need to use more of. I have my regular Facebook page, which is essentially just real estate, or I'll post something stupid, or something silly. And I have a lot of clients that are on that, and I'll get phone calls, hey, Bob, you sold me a house 3 or 4 years ago. Can you sell this one and buy me another one, out of the blue? Or, hey, my friend at church needs to sell their house. Can you give them a call? So of my regular regular listers and regular buyers and sellers, I would say probably 90 to 95% of that is referral. The other business that I do, again, is, okay, one of the banks has a referral. They've got a lead that they need somebody to take care of. Bob, can you do that? Yeah, great. Or it's a foreclosure lead, or, foreclosure property, something of that nature.
So I really appreciate Bob for taking the time to talk with me. And like I said earlier, I love how different the approaches to doing business in this industry can be. And Bob knows what works for him, and he's making it work. Coming up in our next episode, we're actually going to continue our conversation with Bob and talk all about his experience with short sales and foreclosures, where he sees this niche heading over the next year, and his tips for agents looking to break into this type of business. Now, if you think you or someone on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with us, just like Bob, go ahead and send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. So that wraps things up for this episode. But remember, follow the show wherever you listen to your podcast and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.